running back rankings for week 5 in fantasy football. Welcome back to Doing Football. And today we're thirsty for views and we're thirsty for likes.
Yes.
What we're going to do is if you can get us to 100 likes on this video, we're going to give away $25 of site credit to 2 different viewers of the show. All you need to do is comment down below and like the video, and we'll give $25 of site credit to 2 people that commented on the video.
Probably going to have some pretty good odds.
We need 100 likes. Today, I took care of the running back rankings. Jared came after me for a few different things, a couple things.
Yep.
We'll get to those eventually. But let's get started with the top. Again, without Christian McCaffrey,
there's no consensus.
Rankings, there's no consensus here. I do have Derrick Henry. Look, this guy is bound for probably 2,200 yards of rushing.
Yeah.
His touches are through the roof right now. He's even getting a little bit of receiving work. It's crazy to see. So I've got him as my one in a matchup against the Jags.
I saw a stat. It was like he's the 5th most touches through 4 weeks in NFL history.
Yeah,
it was ridiculous.
Sense. Yeah. Usually they don't ride him like this early on in the season. So we'll see how he makes it through the rest of the year. I know Justin Boone from The Score before the season was talking a lot about how you might want to have Darrington Evans because maybe this is finally the year that Henry goes down.
He stays healthy every year. So.
Yeah. 2, Alvin Kamara. Last week, he didn't really have a great fantasy performance, but he did rack up a lot of yards.
Yeah, I think he had 26 carries, didn't he?
Yeah, and he had a lot of carries, which was something we really haven't seen at all. And it could be something that they kind of move to moving forward because they really haven't been able to move the ball in the air whatsoever. Yeah. Like for me, if I want to own a pass catcher on the Saints, it's going to be Deontay Harris maybe because Jameis Winston will push the ball down the field. But otherwise, like Kamara's the guy of this offense, so I'm good with him at 2.
Surprisingly, he had 0
And hey,
targets.
there's a lot of noise coming in this office while we're doing a show. So I hope they quiet down while we continue here. At number 3, Aaron Jones of the Packers. The Packers are playing the Bengals this week. I like Aaron Jones in this matchup. He's honestly through this like 3 to 6 range, 3 to 7 range. I really was back and forth, but I do like Aaron Jones.
Yeah, I mean he's gonna be a guy that puts up. He has like the possibility to go for 30 any given week.
Yeah.
And with the Bengals, I like the odds of that happening. He didn't really. I don't think he did that much last week though, did he? It was kind of a down week for him, but
no, the Packers didn't have they didn't really have the ball that much. Like they converted on their opportunities. They turned the ball over, I think, twice though on fumbles. So Jones didn't do too much. At 4, Dalvin Cook. I mean, this is a great matchup against the Lions. We didn't see it last week against the Browns. He definitely disappointed a lot of people who went right back to him after sitting for week 3. But I do like him in a matchup against the Lions. Divisional game. This game might be tight just because of that, and I'm sure they'll be running the ball plenty.
Yeah, that injury was probably a big reason for him not performing well last week. Yeah, and I'm sure that's probably the reason you don't even have him at 2 or something like that, just because he's still coming off. Yeah, like he was 2 injuries he had a couple weeks ago, so. I'm still a little worried about that, but Lions are a good matchup for him.
One of my favorite running backs this week is Nick Chubb. I know you were talking about Kareem Hunt as a potential sell high.
Yep.
I do see Nick Chubb in a great matchup against the Chargers. The Chargers were able to, great work by my Chargers, improving to 3-1, but did take care of Josh Jacobs in the Raiders run game this past week. But I mean, I don't think that's an indication of them figuring it out against the run. Justin Jones is now on IR. Kenneth Murray is now on IR. So it does test their depth up the middle of the field. So I do think Nick Chubb against the Chargers run defense that isn't very good.
Yeah, stopping Josh Jacobs is not a sign that you have a good run defense. Josh Jacobs just sucks. Yeah. So now that they have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt to deal with, I could easily see a massive week for Chubb here.
Yeah. Another mover for me, Josh Jacobs. The Titans here, I don't know what's going to happen with their...
You mean James Robinson? You said Josh Jacobs.
Or sorry, James. Sorry, James Robinson. I don't know what happens with the Titans in terms of pass catchers, if Brown or Julio will be ready. If that's the case, I like James Robinson in the spot even more at 6. We're back. We're back on the workload. Back. It's good sign for people who we kind of talked about Robinson as a guy to target in those early rounds of your draft. So I think he's back.
We could easily see the same type of workload we saw last year, and that's easily a top 10 running back for sure. So trade for him if people are still a little low on him.
And look, Urban Meyer probably going to want to get to this game, play it, and get off the field as quickly as possible and get home so that things can be recovered.
So he can get another lap dance?
Yeah, between him and his... Well, no, he needs to run home and hustle, get back to his wife. Like, we need to mend fences here at the Meyer household. So
he's got bigger problems.
Let Robinson run the ball, burn that clock. The two of them, Henry and Robinson, just crushing clock. We're done this game in 2.5 hours, and Robinson get back home to his kids. his family.
I like that take.
Ezekiel Elliott in at 7. Were great workload last week. Very efficient as well. This offensive line has looked great since Zach Martin's return. So I'm riding Zeke here at 7 against the Giants. I think they take care of business, and I think Zeke will play a part in that.
They're running the ball so well, both guys, Zeke and Pollard. Yeah. And Zeke is still the goal line back, so like last week I had them pretty close to each other, but I think it's the right play to move Zeke quite a bit higher than Pollard at this point.
Yeah. At number 8, I have Damian Harris against the Houston Texans. This game to me looks exactly like last year when the Patriots bulldozed the Chargers and won by like 40. This team is 1-3. They're going to take care of business against the Texans, and it's going to be on the ground, and it's going to be through Damian Harris. You know, you've been disappointed the last couple of weeks with him. You really haven't been able to play him the last couple of weeks. I know I wasn't playing him last week against the Bucs, but I think this is a massive Damian Harris week, and he proves why we were so excited about him prior to the season. So I like him.
I mean, I like Damian Harris this week, but to put him ahead of Eckler, Swift, Saquon, that's too far for me.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. Like, I would never say I would start Damian Harris over any of those guys. So it's like, I don't like that he's that high, but I do agree he's probably going to have a pretty good week.
Yeah. Again, these are like one week sample size. So it's really, this isn't predicting. It's one game. Yeah. Anything can really happen here. So I do like Damian Harris, and I don't want to be so simple-minded with my, this player's better than the other with my rankings here. At number 9, Austin Eckler.
Incredible.
We're not victory lapping. We don't victory lap on the show, but Austin Eckler looks great, involved in the passing game, just like we thought he would eventually be. He ran the ball fantastically against the Raiders defense. But again, the Browns are top 3 in the NFL in terms of opponent yards per carry. So this is a tough matchup, but his work in the passing game will ultimately keep him in this top 10 for me. Yeah. DeAndre Swift in at 11. Look, the Vikings have not proved to be a great defense so far this season. They did have a good defensive performance against the Browns. You would have thought that if they gave up 14 points, they'd actually be able to win that game, but they did lose. But Swift here is just so involved in the offense and everything the Lions do. Passing wise, like PPR formats, this is where I have him because these are our PPR running back rankings. So
yeah, I'm a massive Swift fan. Like, he's had 4 receptions in every game so far. I could easily see him hitting 100 receptions on the year. I think he's on pace for it so far, and with that extra game in there too, like, this guy is just way too involved. And although he's maybe not exactly the Christian McCaffrey I comped him to, he's kind of close.
Yeah, we're almost looking at that Melvin Gordon Eckler type situation here in Detroit. So at 11, Joe Mixon. The Bengals are going against the Packers. Look, we're not big Joe Mixon guys here, but the Packers are banged up front in the front 4. I think the Bengals will be competitive in this game, and Joe Mixon just has volume, so I've got to include him here in at 11.
I think it all depends on if the Packers get out to an early lead. Mm-hmm. If they start dominating the Bengals early, then I'd think Joe Mixon will just get phased out.
Yep.
But otherwise, if not, then he could get his typical 20 carries, but it also could just be for 67 yards.
Yeah, very well could be. We know we're on the same page with that. So. Saquon Barkley rounds out my top 12 running backs. We're getting that great usage from Saquon Barkley, but again, I do think the Cowboys' run defense is going to be legit all season long. The linebacker group, I've said it before, the linebacker group is just probably the best in the NFL. Van Der Esch, Jalen Smith, Micah Parsons. So I am always skeptical going against the Cowboys' defense as a running back, but Barkley gets involved in all facets, so I got to include him here in the top 12.
I hope you bought him low a couple weeks ago because he's fully back. He's a full-on workhorse. He's involved in every part of the game.
Yeah.
I love him.
At 13, Antonio Gibson. I'm not scared of the Saints defense anymore, I don't think.
I'm not either.
Yeah, so I like Antonio Gibson's workload. I know you might see the highlight reel play from J.D. McKissick, and I kind of was worried that I saw him make a few plays. I'm like, is McKissick on the field too much? But then you look at the numbers, and it's just kind of it's the same. McKissick's there, but he's really not that heavily involved. So I'm still high on Antonio Gibson.
He does take some goal line carries, surprisingly. I've seen McKissick out there on the goal line, which it infuriates me every single time that happens because I just love Gibson. But I think this is probably a good spot for him. He's probably in this range like rest of season just because of the McKissick involvement. Like, it just doesn't make him a league winning type running back, which is sad to see, but he's still a great player.
Yeah. At 14, Darrell Henderson going against the Seahawks. Look, Darrell Henderson had 5 receptions for 27 yards, had another like 80 rushing yards in a game this team got completely blown out. You wouldn't think you'd see value from a running back in this situation, but he still gave you like 14 PPR fantasy points. And this is a game that I think the Rams have every chance to win against the Seahawks team that really just hasn't, the offense is not moving the ball in like that middle portion, the third quarter of games and putting teams away. Like they should have put away the 49ers last week and they just didn't. So if this team continues to struggle to stay on the field offensively, then this is great for Darrell Henderson to continue to get opportunities for the Rams in this game.
I think we're both pretty high on Darrell Henderson the rest of the year. Like he's a great player to pick up or like to trade for right now, just because he's almost got the workhorse usage, and Seahawks, great matchup.
Yeah, to me, he really does. Like Michel had 7 snaps after that fumble, so we'll see what happens if they are willing to use him again. But Michel's just not a good, he's not a good player.
Henderson's the guy.
At 15, Jonathan Taylor. Taylor, to me, is just going to sit in this like 10 to 15 range a lot this year, I think.
Yeah.
I love Jonathan Taylor, but the Colts offense looks just
terrible.
Looks tough. It's just tough to watch, and they've really struggled inside the 5, and that's where you make your money with your top backs. And they need to get the ball in the end zone in those types of situations. They just lost Quentin Nelson for an extended period of time.
Oh, really?
Yes, I'm pretty sure he's on IR
really
now.
Bad loss.
So that's tough for the offensive line as well. But again, Jonathan Taylor still workload. I'm not worried about the Ravens. Too concerned with the Ravens defense. That I still have him as a borderline RB1, front end RB2. So anything else really on Taylor?
Like the fact that he doesn't have any goal line touchdowns yet, like his only touchdown was like a 20-yard carry.
Yeah, it's not the fault of opportunity. It's the fault of their efficiency of the offense.
It's sad to see, but I agree. This is probably his spot rest of season, just because Nyheim Hines limits that full-on usage. Like Hines is actually getting quite involved.
Yeah.
So Taylor probably in this range rest of the season.
Najee Harrison at 16. Look, I love Najee Harrison. His opportunity, his workload. The Broncos defense is going to be tough. And now the Broncos are playing without Teddy Bridgewater and now Drew Lock. This defense is going to be locked in, knowing that every single time they're on the field, it's going to be vital to winning football games. And the Steelers' offense looks atrocious. Like Najee Harris can be a great player, and he can pick up a lot of yards after contact just because of his natural skill set and ability. But quite frankly, like I'm worried. In a good matchup, I could put him into the top 5. Then in a bad matchup, he kind of falls into my 16 to 20 range.
I agree. And this is like a pretty bad matchup too, because if you look at last week, the Broncos, they almost allowed under 100 rushing yards from the Ravens, which I don't think has happened since Lamar Jackson took over.
Yeah.
So the fact that they were able to do that against the Ravens means like how bad is it going to be for the Steelers?
Yeah, exactly.
His receiving game upside is what brings him back into it.
Yeah, especially in PPR formats, he's great for that. I'm had to figure out where to put Cordell Patterson this week.
He's tough to rank.
Yeah, he's in at 17. Great matchup for the Falcons. Look, I've said it before, but the play action game, this is kind of their guy. This is like Arthur Smith's guy. I don't really get it. It's hurting, the Kyle Pitts. People like
Ridley.
Avery Chenier, who took Kyle Pitts in the 4th or 5th round, it's really hurting him.
Yep.
But I've got to start respecting Cordell Patterson, and this is the best I can do for Cordell. This is the best I can do for you.
I don't mind the spot at all. Like, I mean, it is hard to see that he only has 30% of snaps and like 29% of routes run.
Yeah.
And yet is still putting up that much work. But the fact that he's still doing it and he's been doing it so consistently, you have to start him at this point. Like, you can't just leave him on your bench.
Yeah.
He's the kind of guy you have to wait until he just eventually doesn't do it anymore.
Yeah,
and that's when you bench him.
Because this isn't predictable by, I hate going back. I don't want to get off topic, but like Brian Edwards, I brought up in the waiver because of his usage and how much he's on the field. The dude was on the field the entire game on Monday night.
Yeah, but he got like 1 target.
He had 4 targets, but
really?
A couple of them were like throwaway targets.
Yeah.
And he did nothing. But in this situation, Cordell Patterson, Jonnu Smith, like handshake here, like we're just never on the field. But when we are, our quarterback loves us.
Yeah.
So I don't even know when I'm going to. If he stops getting targets, then we're obviously in trouble because it's limited how much he's on the field. But I got to keep him here at 17.
I can't wait until the Falcons play the Bucs and we see what happens then.
They already did.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Oh, and he was still good.
Yeah.
There we go. I completely forgot that. Oh yeah, that was week 2. Yeah. And he still had a good game. Yeah. So he's matchup proof.
Yeah, matchup proof. Cordell Patterson. Chuba Hubbard at 18 against the Eagles. Against the Eagles. What do you think? Like the Eagles haven't been great against the run now the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, like, we did think they were going to have a really good run defense, but like Clyde just ran all over them.
Yeah.
So I'm not the biggest Hubbard fan. Like I don't think, like to me, he has the same upside Mike Davis had last year, and that's around like a back end RB2.
Yeah.
So maybe this is a little bit high for me. Like maybe I'd say like Chase Edmonds should be ahead of him. Mm-hmm. But like this is kind of just where he is until Christian McCaffrey comes back. He's just a back end RB2.
Right. So that gets me into Edmonds at 19. These two are kind of, I love Edmonds. He looks fantastic last week. But again, it's just like the James Conner vulture of, I don't even have James Conner in my top. I have him in my top.
He's 32.
He's outside of my top 30.
Yeah.
Because, well, how am I supposed to predict that he's going to just get a
only
goal line
touchdown
carry
dependent.
for a touchdown?
Yeah.
Right. So I love Edmonds, but it's just tough to include him. Like if he was getting work inside the 5, like we're talking about top 12 for sure.
Oh yeah.
This is the best offense in the NFL so far. But again, I have him at 19, just with divisional matchup here against the 49ers. And then the ultimately the goal line work is really
his receiving game upside just makes him a consistent RB2 every week. Like I think he's put up at least like 12 fantasy points every week in PPR. So yeah,
it was. You're happy if you took Edmonds in your drafts. You're not happy if you chose Gaskin instead.
Yeah.
This was a crucial point here for people. Edmonds has surpassed definitely his value from drafts. Chris Carson in at 20. Again, I think he's banged up.
Yeah.
He's banged up.
He doesn't look good.
If he's healthy, we're talking. I love Chris Carson. I love Chris Carson. It worked week to week if he's healthy. But right now, I think he's going to be splitting a little bit of time. The Rams gave up so many rushing yards to Chase Edmonds, which was kind of surprising to me, considering I really respect their front 4. So I still think Carson gives you some value, but again, I just have a bit of pause with the injury.
Yeah, I seemed like every time I saw a play in that game, Alex Collins was the one on the field.
Yeah.
So like at this point, he's no longer a high upside workload type guy.
Right now, yeah.
Yeah, so I agree. He's probably back end RB2.
Kareem Hunt in at 21. Not too much really to say on Kareem Hunt. I said this was a good matchup for the Browns. You mentioned on yesterday's episode just about the passing work isn't there to the extent you would assume it is if you weren't watching or
less than 3 receptions in 3 of the 4 games.
Yeah, so I do still like Hunt. He's still plenty involved in the offense. So I've still got him in my top 24 on the week. Damian Williams in at 22. It's a
Montgomery
good matchup against the Raiders. Damian Williams is going to take over. I think he's going to completely take over Montgomery's workload. He's going to have the exact workload Montgomery does, but is he as efficient?
Probably not.
I'm not thinking he is, but still a good matchup. And still, when you pick him up off your wire, I'm not sure how much fab you got him for. I'm going to find out because I do have a few claims in on him. Do you want to tell me how much
I have not made my waiver wire picks yet.
Okay. It is Tuesday. Some of us haven't put them in. But hopefully I have him. If I do have him, I'm willing to play him for sure.
Yeah. I mean, just with the touches alone, that's enough. Even if he's not going to be efficient, I have to play him if he's going to get 18 to 20 touches.
Yeah, exactly.
Against the Raiders.
Exactly. Mike Davis in at 23. This is a good matchup. We're in London. Do you have a good British accent for me?
I don't.
No.
Oi, governor.
I like Davis's efficiency was horrific last week. I do still think he's going to get volume. Volume is really what plays when I'm looking at back end RB2 to just kind of make sure that I'm at least, my worst case scenario is with Mike Davis seems like it's 10 fantasy points.
Yeah. I feel like London games are always like really shitty though.
Yeah.
So the only guy who's matchup proof in London is Cordell Patterson, obviously.
Yeah, apparently.
So I'm kind of worried about everybody else.
24, Clyde. The Bills' run defense is really good.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they're top 5 in the NFL. This could be a boat race between these two teams where Clyde just isn't. He's just not involved in the passing game.
Yeah,
enough.
They aren't using him at all.
So if all I'm looking for in Clyde is running the football against a tough running defense in a game that is going to be competitive, like the Chiefs aren't blowing out the Bills in this game, I don't think. So that kind of keeps Clyde from getting a lot of workload like he did against the Eagles, where they were constantly up.
If you remember last year, he went off against the Bills, but that was when they had a significantly worse run defense. Mm-hmm. So now I agree. He's not the best play, but I would probably still play him in most leagues if you did draft him.
Yeah. Anyone you want to comment that I have outside the top 24?
I think everybody. I would probably have everybody here outside the top 24 as well. Miles Sanders at 25 makes sense. Like, he just keeps falling lower because Kenneth Gainwell keeps getting more involved.
Yeah.
He's taken over a lot more of the receiving work.
I wanted to find a way to include Kenny Gainwell in my top 24, but I couldn't.
It was hard. Yeah. He's still kind of a risky play. I like him a lot more on OwnersBox.
How about Fournette? Just because of his involvement in the offense, he's another person that really, I think, for people who have him are probably saying to me, why isn't he in here? Why haven't I seen him?
I mean, yeah, he's completely taken over the backfield. Rojo barely gets any snaps a game anymore.
Yeah.
So he is the lead back, but I also think the Bucs are kind of like the Chiefs in that they don't run the ball anywhere near enough to warrant him a top 24 back.
Yeah.
So.
I want to quickly touch on, before we wrap up, the Zach Moss, Devin Singletary thing here. Like, you're probably wondering where they are, considering that this is the Chiefs and one of the worst run defenses in the league. I'm looking through the usage from these two, and they don't actually. The Bills. This is a hot hand situation. Like, if you're on OwnersBox, the price on Zach Moss is $5,000, and then the price on Singletary is $4,500. I would go Singletary because they'll use these two guys in every situation. You won't see them on. They don't have like a role for Moss only and a role for Singletary only. If they're inside the 5, they'll go to whoever. If they're in the 2-minute drill, they'll go to either one. If they're out there on third down, they'll go to either one. So I can't sit here and say to you, look, here's why I think Zach Moss can be top 24 this week, because he's clearly the RB1.
Yeah.
I just don't. I have no idea.
Yeah, no, I agree. You can never rely on either of them, and just like the Chiefs, the Bills are going to throw the ball a lot.
Yep.
And obviously, I'd much rather have Clyde, who's got a bigger portion of that backfield, than Devin Singletary or Zach Moss.
Yeah, exactly. If you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like. We need 100 likes. We're going to give it some site credit on OwnersBox. Comment down below to be entered. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed. We'll see you guys tomorrow for another video. Thanks for watching.